Good afternoon. Welcome to JoyNewsToday. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because so free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Media Foundation for West Africa joined hands with the GJA to express shock and disappointment at the NMC chairman for describing as dysfunctional and unproductive recent calls by the GJA for media houses to blacklist two politicians for aiding attacks on journalists. We have details as the NMC is being advised to redeem its image, which has been dented over the period with political coloration.
I feel completely disappointed in the statement by the National Media Commission. It's not surprising.
Also, Tewin says it will not call off strike until government meets its demands fully. We have more for you as the Industrial Action Interest with two. As a group indicate there are outstanding issues that needs to be settled.
I don't know why government refused to address the ruling of NFP. And that is why we are embarking on the strike and asking until this is resolved, we cannot follow the strike.
Plus, Flagbearer of the NDC, John Mahama, reiterates his inability to promise salary increment for pre-tertiary teachers and other labor unions if he regains power. We're live also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Denana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Flagbearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has reiterated his inability to promise salary increment for pre-tertiary teachers and other labor unions if power is regained. He says it will be dishonest on his part to make promises that cannot be redeemed. Making reference to the present economic crisis, the NDC Flagbearer says labor will be encouraged to work towards economic recovery to enhance living conditions. Nanaya Ojima has more. We'll bring you that story later in the bulletin, but right now the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, has joined the GJA in expressing disappointment with Chairman of the National Media Commission, Yao Buido Ayeboafo, for describing as dysfunctional and unproductive recent calls by the Ghana Journalists Association for media houses to blacklist two politicians accused of aiding attacks on journalists. The GJA declared the blackout on MP for Ewutu Senya East, Mavis Hawakumse, and MP for Yendi Farouk Aliu Mahama, accusing them of assaulting journalists from Cape FM and City TV in the heat of the MPP primaries. Suleiman Abrahima says the NMC has failed in its mandate of providing a conducive environment for journalists to thrive. We'll hear from Suleiman Abrahima shortly. First, listen to NMC Chair Yao Ayeboa for asking victims to explore legal avenues instead of a media blackout.
The recent vicious and violent attacks on journalists for exercising their primary obligation of informing our people. This has resulted in the equally decision of the GJA in calling for a boycott or blackout on such people. The approach is popular, it is dysfunctional. Many years ago, I courted displeasure and contempt the Ashanti region chapter of the GJA, the Vice Chancellor of KUST, Professor Ellis Otu. As is usual with some of our journalists, my dissent was taken as being too known. I was taken to the cleanest and described in very pejorative ways as a term code, infenimo, treacherous, traitor against journalistic interests. I still hold the position that whilst it is disheartening for journalists to be attacked violently, the unilateral resolve to black out or boycott is not the most productive reaction. We cannot fight impunity with impunity. I will support any effort to ensure that justice is done against all such deviant acts, rather than blackout or boycott. We must follow the rule of law and the due process. Condemning such acts is in order, but not the blackout or boycott.
Well, GJA President Albert Jomoro has expressed shock and disappointment in the comments of the NMC chair. He described the posture of the NMC chair as unfortunate, explaining the GJA exhausted all relevant processes before issuing its directive.
What has the NMC done to promote and ensure independence of the media, in the freedom of the media in this country? You abandon your call for your constitutional mandate, and a journalist, because today you are helping a state institution or a state organization which we think is supposed to be independent, will now disagree with a entire media body. We have 500 bodies that came together to take this decision. So if you disagree with even GJ, you disagree with, are you saying you also disagree with Media Foundation, disagree with Giba, disagree with PAC? We don't even know what we are doing. It's unfortunate that this comment is the responsibility of the NMC to provide a neighborhood working environment for journalists to thrive. After that, we see NMC sanctioning journalists, media houses, go and apologize, go and do this. One about as the NMC sanctioned latest of attack on journalists. He will tell me that all this report didn't come before them. He will say that all this report didn't come before them. Meanwhile, during the invasion of the UTV studio, nobody reported to them. They were the first people to issue the statement. But nobody reported to them. When politicians, government officials attack journalists, you sit down there and say you are waiting for a report to act. As NMC, we're supposed to protect journalists. So if you can't protect journalists and you cannot ensure a safety in the environment for journalists, why would you disagree if we are taking abnormal decisions?
We're going to now listen to Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, who says the NMC's behavior confirms accusations it is in bed with the NPP government, and the earlier it redeems its image, the better.
I feel completely disappointed by the National Media Commission. But I should say that it's not surprising, because I've always said that one of the institutions that has completely failed in discharging its mandate in this country is the National Media Commission. And I think that the failure of the Commission has actually gotten worse over the last few years that perhaps Mr. Abuafo has been the chairman of the Commission. I mean, as the GJA president said, what has the NMC been doing in terms of the constitutional mandate to ensure the highest journalistic standards and promoting press freedom in this country? It's almost absolutely nothing. And for me, it is therefore not surprising that today, the NMC would occasionally, issue a statement and people would completely disregard it. I think it is as a result of some of these attitudes, by the leadership of the NMC that has gotten the NMC to a position where literally no one respects whatever they do. But it's a perception. This is the first time in the history of the National Media Commission that you have a representative of the president being the chairman of the NMC. Of course, it is not the president who appointed him as chairman. Subsequently, after the appointment or the nomination by the president, the commissioners then decided to vote him as their chair. But it is significant to note that it is the first time we are having a representative of the president, somebody the president trusts to represent him on the National Media Commission, being the chairman. And so for me, I wouldn't begrudge those who would say that the president cannot nominate somebody or have somebody to represent him, and that person goes to work in a way that would undermine the interests of the president. And so, for me, the current leadership of the NMC, particularly the chairman, should know that he has everything to do to prove that the fact that he is representing the president does not mean that he is working in the interest of the president and his party.
We can now go back to our earlier story of where Flagbearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is reiterating his inability to promise salary increment for pre-tertiary teachers and other labor unions if power is regained. He says it will be dishonest on his part to make promises that cannot be redeemed. Making reference to the present economic crisis, the NDC Flagbearer says labor will be encouraged to work towards economic recovery to enhance living conditions. Nana Ojima has more.
Since the beginning of the year, the government has faced demands by various labor groups for better wages and conditions of service. The NDC Flagbearer on the Building Ghana tour is often confronted with calls for enhancement of salary by public sector workers if returned to power. At Tamale, pre-tertiary teachers made a request for enhanced remuneration. Mahama empathized with teachers particularly, but insisted on their inability to promise the teachers salary enhancement. He, however, proposes plans to reduce the plight of teachers.
Pre-tertiary teachers, she talked about conditions of service. I've said it, that the economy is in a big mess, and so I cannot promise everybody that we're going to increase your salaries and all that. I don't want to be like those dishonest people who came and promised you heaven and said they will build factories in every district, they will build dams in every village, they will give every constituency $1 million a year. I'm not that kind of person. And so I cannot promise you that I'm coming to increase your salaries, but we've taken note of the difficulties that pre-tertiary teachers are going through. And I've suggested some of the solutions. And one is that we will help you with accommodation in schools so that more teachers can stay in school. One of the reasons a lot of teachers do not want to go on posting to certain areas is because they cannot find accommodation. There are even some rural areas where nobody rents a house or a room, and so you have to stay in town and commute to school every day. And the cost of transport will eat up all your salary.
The NDC Flagbearer continues to emphasize the need for all to come on board to aid in economic recovery. He spoke about plans to create wealth for the country with the help of labor.
So we've spoken with all your colleagues, all the regions we've gone, we've had teachers, talking about the challenges. But when we come into office, we'll open the books. We'll open the economy for everybody to see what is there. You can only share what you created. And so when we all see the books, then we will create and then we can share. You can't share what you've not created.
Meanwhile, Special Assistant to the former President, Joyce Boa Mokhtari, has asked labor unions to be patient with the future Mahama administration. She is optimistic of their support if NDC is successful in staging a comeback.
Mr. Mahama will certainly be a better leader for Ghana at this time. And I'm sure that even the labor unions know this. Because Mr. Mahama is a man that they've always known. They've always worked with him. But for the partisanship of Mr. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, I'm sure that even at the time, the labor unions were willing to sit and jaw with Mr. Mahama. Always done. But you see, they were convinced at the time that this was a government that was making you poor. That it was because of the Mr. Mahama and his administrations that you people were not getting paid well. 7 years later.
For Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Away from politics, the industrial action of the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana has entered its second week from today. TTU says the strike action will continue even though government has resolved the issue concerning their Tier 2 pension as well as overtime and extra duty allowance. The group says there are some outstanding issues that remains unresolved and reason the strike will continue. Suleimana Abdul Rahman is national president.
Actually, it has to do with the vehicle maintenance allowance payment. And we demanded government to direct the public universities who are not paying the allowance to our members to do so without any delay. Because what qualifies a member to maintenance allowance is when you have a motorbike, they pay you the motorbike maintenance allowance. When you have a car, they pay you the car maintenance allowance. So the problem is some of our members are having motorbikes and then cars. Those who are having the car and how do you call it, cars, decide not to pay them this allowance. They rather pay them the motorbike maintenance allowance. So we are asking that every member who has a car in the person's name, which the auditor has confirmed in the public university, must be paid car maintenance allowance. Because the condition says that, or the agreement says that if someone is having a car, you pay the person back maintenance allowance. Someone is having a motorbike, you pay the motorbike maintenance allowance. So at what point will our member will be having a car and then you will pay the person motorbike, even though the person is having a car? So we think that this is very, very unfortunate on the part of government and some of the management who are doing this. We are asking government to make sure that they rectify it. NLC rule on this issue, that was last year, somewhere October, emphasizing that government should make sure that they pay this allowance to the staff. But we don't know why government refused to adhere to the ruling of the NLC. And that is why we are embarking on the strike, and we are asking until this is resolved, we cannot follow the strike. Because we don't know what will happen if we suspend the strike or follow the strike. So we are asking that without any dispute that they should go ahead and make sure they issue a directive to the public universities that are affected of taking the this car maintenance ourselves to do so without any dispute.
Nkrumah's leadership of TTU says the strike will only be called off when government fully meets its demands. Charles Arthur is KUST chairman of TTU Ghana, and he spoke earlier this morning.
Now, per the directive from our national executive neck, we are still on strike, being that our demands have not all been met, and we think that it has been met before. We are also not had engagement with the Labour Commission, the Labour Court in this country. As a result of that, the NEC found it difficult to suspend the strike. So as we speak, we are still on strike. Then TTU Ghana to our demands go beyond other unions' demands. For example, we are talking of condition of service provision relating to payment of vehicle maintenance allowance to some staff who are TTU Ghana members, which, as we speak, some universities pay, others does not pay. They said the reason being that GTech is behind telling them that pay, don't pay. So it has created a lot of inconveniences in some campuses. And the National Executive felt that this is the opportunity to bring it to the attention of the National Labour Commission so that the Commission will deal with it once and for all. Hence, our strike still ongoing.
The decision of TTU Ghana comes as students at KUST reel under the strike as lecture halls and libraries remain closed. Charles Arthur tells Joy News the union cannot be blamed for the impact the strike is having on students.
Unfortunately, that students, at the end of the day, they will be affected by the negativity of our actions. But what can one do? Because if at the end of the day, we're in a country that is the only thing that the employer will understand, you understand, then of course, and we also have to note that there's nowhere in this world that you disobey the law and purport to obey the law. It's not done in anywhere. Once the law is law, you obey it. You understand? There's a provision in the condition of service. You said you will not obey it. However, you are going behind to say that I will do this. You cannot obey the law and purport to obey the law. So we want the Labour Commission to tell the university management, the GTech, that look, the law is the law. It's in the conditions of service. It is a law passed by the Parliament of Ghana. obey it, please. We are to only render service and you pay me. So if you are not going to pay me, you understand, it will amount to breach of contract, you understand, between me and my employer. And it's the employer whom I'm rendering service to should be dealt with, or the complaint will have to be made against the employer and not me, the employee who is rendering a service. This is very straightforward.
From the academia, let's get into our communities. The culture of teenage girls trading sex for fish in coastal communities of the Half Assini in the Jomoro district of Western Region is commonplace. The girls beg for fish during substantial catch and return sexual favor as payment to the fishermen. It's termed fish for sex in the local community. JoyNewsToday Stanley Niblewo was there to dig into this worrying culture and now reports.
Half Assini is one of 26 coastal communities in the Jomoro municipality of the Western Region with prevalent teenage sexual exploitation. Its vibrant shore attracts loads of town folks daily when canoes that go for fishing expeditions land ashore. On occasions where the fishermen have a substantial catch, teenage girls who come to the beach to beg for fish for their families' upkeep become the target of sexual exploitation, as every fish they receive from the fishermen is paid back through sex. As a result, teenage pregnancy and single parenthood are a common phenomenon in the community, with little being done by local stakeholders to address the situation. The practice is termed by indigenes as fish for sex, and this is confirmed by the deputy manager of the Jomoro Fisheries Commission, Irene Obeng.
The girls are young, so the fishermen take advantage of the situation and have sex with them. Fish for sex is prevalent here.
The barter sex trade is fueled largely by poverty and parental neglect. Semenya Maxwell, a fisherman with more than a decade fishing experience, opens up on the level of exploitation.
Everybody will be struggling for the fish, so if you can assess the one who is there and he's also giving you, and he also asks something, that means you also give you fish, give me sex, give you fish, give me barter system in that way.
According to Maxwell, married women committing infidelity for favors of fish gifts also exist in the community. At the Anlon line, a set of fishermen have returned from a fishing expedition and are pulling their catch ashore. Accra, a 17-year-old single parent and a victim of sexual exploitation, is among people who have come to the London beach. She explains what she uses the fish she receives from the men for.
He has been bringing the fish home when we started dating. I sell some and use the rest to prepare dish for the family.
Accra was forced to end the relationship with her child's father after accusing him of using fish to lure other teenage girls.
We broke up because he cheated.
Comfort, a shore laborer, recounted how she influenced her friend to exchange sex for fish.
A fisherman expressed interest in my friend, so anytime I come to the shore, he gives me octopus and other big fishes to give to her. When he needs her too, he tells me to convey the message to my friend to meet him up.
Education of the victims of the community's sexual exploitation is abruptly truncated once pregnancy sets in.
I called one girl and she was like, "Madam, my mother, whenever you ask her for anything, she will tell you she's not having. So the only thing that I could do, I have a guy, I think the guy also works at the seashore, so he's the guy helping her at school. So the only thing she can also offer to the guy is to give herself to the guy." Seriously, and when I came, I think almost 4 girls or so, they have dropped out because of teenage pregnancy and other stuff.
Wanda, a native of Brekusu in the Akwapim South District of the Eastern Region, has migrated to Half Assini to pursue fishing. He is one of the fishermen who engages in the fish for sex trade, admitting to having sexual intercourse with multiple teenage girls, including the mother of his children.
For us fishermen, we lure girls with fish and nothing else. When you offer the girl fish, you have influenced her mind and she will continue to offer you sex because she knows that if she stops, she won't get the fish again.
Wooing the heart of teenage girls in the community is a competition among the fishermen as these girls give in to the highest bidder. This was corroborated by Wanda.
There are some fishermen with elevated status in the community. The fish that they can give to the girls, you cannot afford. So your girlfriend can break up with you for them.
But why do the fishermen do what they do? A deputy chief fisherman, Nana Boka, attempted an explanation.
The girls like fish, that is why they keep begging for it every day. If they are scared of the consequences, they wouldn't be begging. If I give you fish and I also need a favor from you, I'll call you. I'll then have sex with you and you will feel relieved.
In Havasini, cases of sexual exploitation are not frequently reported to the police. Data from the Jomoro Divisional Police Command show only 3 reported cases in the last 4 years. Jomoro Municipal Chief Executive Louisa Ade is overwhelmed about the increasing trend.
Who are those getting the girls pregnant? These are elderly men living in our communities. And you'll be surprised that a girl of 15 years is being chased by a 45-year-old man who is married with children. And his children are even of the same age with that small girl. And that small girl has become his mistress. Then they get them pregnant. And then when Ghana Education Service comes in, our parents will go behind us and they'll go and collect a token and say, okay, let the girl be. Because when she gives birth, who is going to take care of that girl?
Protecting the rights of girls and clamping down on the sex barter trade by fishermen in coastal communities requires the state's critical intervention. Stanley Nee Blewell's report read to you.
About 10,000 victims of the spillage of the Akosombo Dam in North Tongue constituency are still living in tents and other makeshift structures 5 months after the devastating flooding. This is according to MP for the area, who has facilitated the construction of 2 alternative housing schemes to house up to 600 people, but says a lot more is required. The former President John Mahama, who is backing the MP, says there must be a probe into the spillage. He says government has been insensitive to the plight of the victims. Kweku Asante has more.
It's been 5 months since the floodgates of the Akosombo Dam was opened, leaving in its wake devastation never seen in decades. So many people reduced to living in tents with their entire livelihoods wiped off. With the water now receded and the people trying to build back their lives, so much help is still needed. For now, the focus of MP for North Tongue, one of the worst affected constituencies, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa and his partners, is to relocate as many of the victims as possible and resettle them in decent accommodations. The MP has now opened the second alternative housing project to house at least 300 families.
We have been able to mobilize those resources and put together this second housing project, which we are calling the North Tongue MP and Partners Safe Housing Initiative. From tonight, 300 people who are living in refugee-like tents in Dagome, in Agbetiko, in Aveime, in Dofwadidoma, in Fojoku. From tonight, they can have access to decent, modern accommodation, and they can have their dignity restored.
The MP says it is unacceptable that government is failing to live up to its responsibilities.
Waiting for the central government to commence the construction of resettlement homes. How long are people going to be living like refugees in their own country, in their own hometown? How long? How long are we going to be living in tents? Very soon, the rainy season will be upon us. Those tents cannot save us. So His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Vice President Alhaji Mahmudu Bawumia. Remember your oath of office.
Former President John Dramani Mahama, who is backing the parliamentary probe into the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, is also accusing government of turning a blind eye to the plight of the victims.
I urge the Speaker of Parliament, after he ruled that there should be a public inquiry, I urge him to go ahead and set up the committee, so that a bipartisan committee, so that they can hold a public inquiry. This inquiry must be televised so that the whole of Ghana can see it transparently, in order that we know exactly what happened, so that it will not be repeated again. Let me appeal to the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, and his Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to be more responsive and sensitive to the plight of the victims of the Kosovo dam spillage, and immediately get to work to commence resettling the victims. The insensitivity of government to the plight of these victims is unacceptable.
Chiefs in the area are helpless and furious.
The Volta Regional House of Chiefs is calling on government and VRA for a complete resettlement of the impacted communities that are suffered as a result of what VRA did to us.
More than 10,000 persons will have to be relocated to be moved away from shelters like these, which have been described as inhumane.
The main challenge we have now is accommodation, like proper structure. I think if you enter in the morning, you feel comfortable. But during the afternoon, there is too much, so you can't meet. Yes, and if it's rain, last time.
Please, while these people wait for their government to come to their aid after budgeting more than 200 million cedis, Samuel Okudzeto Blackwell and his partners are doing their bit to help ameliorate the suffering of the people and put them back to living decent lives. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Mefe, Northtown, Volta Region.
We're still live on Joy News Today. Let's take a break and bring you business shortly after this break.
Welcome to the business segment with me, Emma Davis. Let's look at our stories for this afternoon. Ghanaians who fail to disclose their sources of taxable income outside the country risk being penalized by the Ghana Revenue Authority under the Voluntary Disclosure Program. It forms part of the authority's strategy to increase revenue generation for the country. There's more in this report.
This was disclosed by the Commissioner of the Midday Tax Revenue Division, Edward Sherma, on the sideline of a management retreat in Accra. According to him, the voluntary disclosure program will allow resident persons with income abroad to disclose without payment of penalty.
In 2016, when we amended the Income Tax Act, when we passed the Income Tax Act 896, Ghana moved away from the source jurisdiction to global source. Now, with the global source, what it means is that if you are a resident person in Ghana, wherever any income, you have to disclose that income for purposes of tax in Ghana. Now, over the years, this has been a big challenge, but most people are not doing this. And now we sign arrangement with other jurisdictions. Currently, we have over 145 countries that are providing us with information on resident Ghanaians having accounts elsewhere. So with this, what we've done is that how then do we ask these people to disclose such information. So we've gone through a process coming up with how individuals, persons, that is companies, entities that have this income and have not disclosed to Ghana Revenue to use this opportunity to provide the source to Ghana Revenue, so that if the source is coming from a taxable source, then they are required to pay the tax to.
On sanctions to be applied to those found culpable, he said there are administrative sanctions and judicial sanctions.
For us, we have the administrative sanction and we have the judicial sanctions. So for us, we first raise the assessment on you, expecting you to come and pay. If you fail to pay, of course, we have the judicial process where we can go to court and ask the judiciary to help us enforce collection of the tax. So when it gets there and they take that decision, that is the decision for the court. But for us, we will use all enforcement procedure to pursue collection of the tax.
The retreat is on the theme tax transparency and certainty, the GRA way for Joy Business in Athalia, Kwanza, Western.
The demand for dollars by businesses continues to hit record levels despite assurances by the Bank of Ghana of adequate reserves to support the cedi. This is based on reports picked up from some major commercial banks. George Yafe has the rest of the story.
The Ghana cedi has been under some pressure in the last quarter of 2023. That was influenced by some uncertainty about the time that Ghana would have gotten its first tranche of cash and demand for dollars to finance imports for the Christmas festivities by businesses. With the IMF inflows coming, that would have gone a long way to deal with this uncertainty as well as speculative activities. But it's been almost a month now and demand is still high. Well, some of these commercial banks are linking it to fresh dollar demand to finance imports that came in December 2023 during the Christmas festivities. Now, government has also been forced to make some payments to the power producers with threats that they'll shut down the operations. These developments have contributed to the current pressure on the Ghana cedi. Some of the commercial banks are also blaming the Bank of Ghana for not doing enough to meet the demands of businesses. But sources close to the central bank have argued that they are being strategic with their position, despite reserves crossing the $6 billion mark for last month. Some have also argued that with the Bank of Ghana's current dollar position, being active on the market with foreign exchange might not be a bad idea, as it will go a long way to help deal with the current pressure on the local currency.
That'll be all for business. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is sports with up next is sports. Muftau Nabila. Yes, have a good afternoon.
Let's do sports now on Joy News Today with me, Muftau Nabila. Ghana legend Abedi Pele has called on countries to invest heavily in football following the success of Ivory Coast in this year's African Cup of Nations. Speaking at a Legends Round Table in Abidjan, he says that it's about time other countries invest heavily, and CAF, which is the football governing body in the continent, should also ensure that the right measures are in place for the competition to be won and based on countries that have prepared really well for the tournament.
Free to go and check and ensure whether the decision you took was right or wrong. So there have been dramatic changes, which is just better for the game, because preparing a tournament like this, countries put on millions to set their teams in a good shape to come in and perform. And then one decision changes the game, it really hurts. So I think all these things are good for the game. And then, you know, my other African Cup that I had the opportunity to participate end up sometimes with South Africa 96. I was seriously injured in one of the games, which it was against, I think, Congo, which I had a very serious and severe ankle problem, which made me to be out. We were in the quarterfinals, I think, the quarterfinals, going to the semifinals against South Africa, which I was out. I was out, which my friend here was the happiest man. He wasn't my friend by then, but he was very happy, and he was excited that I was out of that game.
Now, let's talk about the winners of the competition. Seko Fofana, he's one of the midfielders who contributed to the success of Côte d'Ivoire in the tournament. He says that the group stage defeats to Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea were the tap back that they needed to rise to the occasion and win the tournament.
I didn't say this, but today we show we work very good, you know, and we work about this team because they are very good players. It's a strong team, and today we are very happy about the success. You know, every game was not easy, and we are very happy about the success. And I hope everybody gonna enjoy. And congratulations to every team, also the Niger. And today we are very happy, and I hope you
How did
enjoy.
you do it? How do you think you did this? You know, you lost your two crucial games in the group stage, but you bounced back. How?
You know, this is God, you know. Sometimes God makes some situation to show you need to change something, to work very hard. And we do this. Today we are very happy. Thank you for the managing of the coach, of the player also. And we are very happy because this competition was not easy.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next is World News.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Ansumayabua. Moving straight to the international front. Now, R&B singer Usher delivered a hit-heavy halftime show at Sunday's Super Bowl with help from William Alicia Keys' Ludacris and a pair of roller skaters. Usher gave patrons an electric performance singing some of his biggest hits throughout his 30-year music career. Well, we're back home as Ghanaian Chef Smith has surpassed Chef Falatu's recent 227-hour cooking marathon. He has already cooked over 260 hours. Originally slated for an 18-day run, Chef Smith intends to cook till 6th March. Despite the low attendance, patrons who are there have been speaking to Joy News.
Well, it's been 12 days since Chef Smith started cooking. He's been cooking so many dishes right here at Spencer's Amadia Shopping Center. Well, I'm here with the organizers who are here to tell me more about it. So kindly come closer. He started 12 days ago. How is it going so far?
It's going on well. He's putting in much effort too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look so tired.
Yeah.
Have you been getting enough rest?
Yes, I've been resting. I try my best to rest.
So how many people have been fed so far?
All right, so over 1,000 people have been fed. Yeah.
Okay, and dishes, how many dishes so far?
Over 50 dishes. We're still doing more. Yeah.
Now, 12 days, a lot of people haven't been talking about it as compared to other previous record-breaking attempts. Why do you think it's so?
Because it's a working day, and then people go to work most of during the weekday, and they come after work. So some of them come back from work and they are tired. Yeah. So I feel it's because of that. But on a weekend we have crowd here. A lot of people comes here on the weekend. Yeah.
But so far, how has the support been?
Well, it's been great. They keep on coming. They keep on coming to support us. Yeah.
When does Chef Smith intend to end this cookathon?
So we are ending on 6 March. We'll have a 6 March. We'll be marching here with the food.
Really? You started on 1st February?
Well, we're ending on 6 March. So 6 March, we are marching here with the food.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how have you taken into consideration his health? Because then he's being denied of sleep. He has, it's just like other record-breaking attempts where he gets, after 4 hours, he has how many minutes? 20?
After 4 hours, it's 20. Yeah. But he is doing a 12-hour and then have a 1 hour rest. So the doctors come around. We have the doctors from Banahene. They come around to check up on him. And then there's this physio. Well, they also come to massage him. And yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Francis.
Francis.
Yeah.
You told me earlier that you've been here since the days the cookathon started. How has it been for you?
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Well, that's all for the showbiz segment. But Aisha, people are still trooping in there.
Wait, did you get the opportunity to taste the meal?
Yes, I did. So I took porridge and pancake this morning.
Can you imagine the skill? That's how we wrap up the bulletin this afternoon. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories to enjoy the rest of our programs.